All right, good evening, everybody. We'll call this meeting to order. Today is our work session of the City Council, City of Cape May, New Jersey. We are here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. It is Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. The time is 6 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy was delivered to each member of City Council and posted on the Cape May City website and Cape May City Hall Bulletin Board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded and video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Councilmember Baldwin?
Here.
Councilmember Meyer?
Here.
Mayor Mullock?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Here,
Councilmember Yeager?
Here.
City Solicitor Gillen Schwartz?
Here.
City Manager Vaughn?
Here.
Deputy City Clerk Dillon?
Here.
And Deputy City Manager Belasco is also present. Any additions or deletions, Council, tonight? I do not have any, unless Council has.
We already had this, right?
Yes, that was on the agenda.
Okay. Any other additions or deletions? No? Okay. Update from the city manager?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen. Had a busy summer. Everybody seemed to do well. Thank God we got through it without any major incidents this season. I want to thank our dedicated public employees, our workers at hard work this summer with the shortage of summer help, as a lot of businesses also had. We're still operating with less than 4 full-time and 11 summer help that we would have had, but we couldn't hire this summer. We received a price of $335,000 to replace restrooms along Beach Drive, 2nd, Trenton, and Wilmington Avenues. But our talented tradesmen at the Public Works Department that we have, like did Ocean Restroom, they have our own plan that we're going to refurbish those restrooms, and the cost be about $40,000 to $50,000 per restroom. That's including Gurney Street also. I know that Councilwoman Baldwin is working on the restroom with architects for up there on the boardwalk, so hopefully that'll be forthcoming. But meanwhile, we're going to save a lot of money by using our own people to refurbish all those different facilities.
That's great.
We're also going to be refurbishing the Cove this winter. It's another project that our talented Public Works Department is going to take on and accomplish. The crosswalks, and yes, Mayor?
The Sunset Pavilion at the Cove there?
Yes, the pavilion, I'm sorry.
That's great.
Yes. The crosswalks and showers were supposed to start today, but because of the inclement weather, so I hope they'll be starting as soon as the weather's dry. Maybe not everybody's happy, but we did put 10 new parking meters at First and the Beach, and they've been busy all weekend. Our OEM, emergency management, getting prepared for hurricane season and other items because of our evacuation route and things set up. We're having a tabletop meeting this Friday for our essential personnel that'll be affected if indeed there's an emergency. Solar panels, as you know, were installed on City Hall, but they're not operating yet because we're still waiting because of the supply shortage for the converter that converts it right into our regular electric grid. Vehicles, we just received a new black and white Ford hybrid police vehicle. We have a fully electric Mustang ordered. It's being detailed right now. We should have that before the end of the month. And we're going to have an electric pickup truck by the end of the year also in our fleet. We're stripping down some of the older police cars that we've done in the past so we can turn them over to some of our local inspectors to keep them around town and downsize all the vehicles that we have. They'll be used by inspectors. Lifeguards every day are going to be on duty through September 18th and the weekend of the 24th and 25th. And then the lifeguard season will be over. They've had one of the busiest Labor Day weekends, I'm told, this past Labor Day. They really, and thank God, no incidents, just a few minor cuts and bruises, but no situations where we had to save people. Met with the neighbors around the Atlantic City Express, I keep saying Atlantic City Electric substation. We met with them to accommodate all of their interest. And I've met with our police chief, administration, all the public safety officials, along with the Bike and Pedestrian Committee. We fully support the speed reduction ordinance. And I want to thank Councilman Mike Yeager for his leadership in moving this forward to this point. And I hope that tonight you can introduce an ordinance in the best interest of public safety for this community, reducing the speeds. Just a couple other highlights. We met with the new commander of the Coast Guard, real nice gentleman, Captain Judge, and just going to be a pleasure to work with him. Councilwoman Baldwin's been working with the Beach Committee on a new sound system for the promenade. The EV charging electric vehicle charging stations, we're working on that and looking at where we're going to locate them. We're receiving a lot of grant funding that we'll be reporting to council as soon as we have the total amount. Police station task force, we'll be talking about police station tonight a little bit. We're going to have a seawall meeting coming up shortly. The Franklin Street School, we've been meeting with the county and moving forward on that. Hopefully construction will get started real soon. We've had a grant update meeting with Jim Rotula the other day and with the mayor and Lou, and went over many, many grants that this city is eligible to apply for, and we will. We're still discussing Pelican Place and the obstacles with a new location with the state. Casey's been working diligently trying to get that resolved. Going to be meeting with the school officials this month to discuss the use of the pool at the elementary school. We're also going to be discussing contract negotiations with upper management. And the last thing I want to say is that the Kiwanis Club of Cape May Patriotic Day of 9/11 Remembrance is coming up, and we ask people to please come out on September 11th at 6 p.m. At the Cove at Beach Avenue. And that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Anything from our solicitor this evening?
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Ordinances for introduction?
Yes, Mayor, we have ordinance 477-2022, an ordinance amending Chapter 310 of the Code of the City of Cape May regarding licensing to include insurance requirements pursuant to Senate Bill S1368.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
We have ordinance 478-2022, an ordinance amending Section 7 of the Cape May City Code to establish a maximum speed limit of 20 miles per hour on municipal roads in the city of Cape May.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a
Second.
Second. I know we have a couple questions, but any questions or comments on this?
I just have a few. I know we're saying that Yacht Avenue, it looks to me when I went down there that Yacht Avenue already has a 10-mile-per-hour speed limit sign posted. I also, according to this ordinance, it talks about a traffic study being done. I've never received the traffic study. And was this traffic study for getting these things down to 10 miles per hour? Because why is it only 2 streets in town and not more?
I agree with that question, really.
The council can regulate the speed limits on any municipal road within the confines of the city. So, like Deputy Mayor, if the yacht is already posted, I think the neighbors must have posted that. I
Well,
don't
why I'm
think so.
saying this, in the ordinance says we did a traffic study.
So I can clarify this. This is kind of why I put the background in this ordinance, to show the step-by-step approach that was taken by the people that were kind of evaluating this. Yes, there can be traffic studies, like Hoboken did a municipal-wide traffic study, but the statute also calls for when, and this is a quote from the statute, 39-4-98, when designating reasonable and safe speed limits for a street under its jurisdiction pursuant to the subsection as part of an engineering and traffic investigation, which was done in this case, and that was done by the city manager's office in coordination with the police department to investigate the local conditions and get feedback by the people that are regulating these streets and interacting with the public, interacting with the cars, pulling cars over, have the data on speed and traffic regulations and violations, So we have that data. I think the police department has that. We didn't hire a consultant to do this, but we have a lot of intelligence locally that was relied on. And a lot of this, I think, was driven, and I don't want to put words in the policymakers' mouths here, but my understanding of this was that it was driven by a very common sense approach to looking at the city of Cape May was never a perfect grid town. There's curves in the roads, there's conditions that have existed for such a time that sight lines may be impacted if somebody's going over 25, and recognizing the reality of federal statistics that indicate if you drop it by 10 miles per hour, you're drastically reducing the risk to somebody if they get struck by a vehicle.
But I was going by the code for the MU, or MCTUD, I think it is, that says that a traffic study has to be completed. And that's why I was asking that question, because we didn't complete a traffic study. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's common sense to lower the speed limit. I think it's common sense that we enforce the speed limit we have. Because lowering the speed limit doesn't stop people from going over the 25 that they're doing now. If we strictly enforce the 25, then we'll have control over the speed limit streets. We're also not going to be lowering, because it's a county road, Lafayette Street.
Right.
So that's going to continue to stay at 25 miles per hour,
Right.
which is probably the street that's being violated with speeders more than any other street in town. So we're not even going after the street that has the most speeding. If we strictly enforce speeding, then we wouldn't be having to reduce our speed limit, because by reducing the speed limit, we're not solving the problem of speeders. The
But-
only way we solve the problem with speeders is enforcement, and reducing the speed limit is not an enforcement.
So,
Deputy,
go ahead.
Deputy Mayor, what I would say about that is that you can enforce it, but it's really not going to change the behavior of people that are coming to this town for the first time or for their weekly visit. That may have an impact on our local, all the local people here, but it's not going to have an impact on the people that come to town for the first time or are here on vacation. If you lower the speed limit posted, it may have an impact. It may have, like I think I said before, even if it had a 10% impact on the number of people that are driving in this town, and they reduced it, we'd have a much safer town. And in addition to that, if we enforce 25 miles an hour, enforcing 20 miles an hour it makes even more sense, because 20 miles an hour is so markedly different in the extent of injury that either a bicyclist or a pedestrian they'll have if, in fact, they're hit at a speed of 25 miles an hour. So it just makes sense to reduce it, enforce it or not. I shouldn't say not, enforce it at 20, and we'll be even better off.
And
Councilman Vaughn?
if I could, real quick, because I agree with everything that you're saying, but enforcing it, I understand that, Stacy, but we're not an enforcing board here. We're a council that we pass ordinances, and that's our job. We have to look at the safety and security of the citizens of the city, visitors alike, and I'm looking at two different things, and I understand your stance on the enforcement of it. But I, look at our role as what we're supposed to do here today.
And I feel that there are streets in this town that are 25 miles an hour, and my personal opinion is, I'm going to give an example, is Columbia Avenue. That's legitimately, I think it's posted as 25 miles an hour. I'm telling you, when I drive that street, I don't think it's safe to be driving 25 miles an hour most of the year and most of the day during the year. I think that everybody's better off if the speed on that street is reduced. It's just, I think, much more comfortable for everybody and safer.
I agree with that, and I think that goes back to the genesis of this, really. You look at, we have our bicycle and pedestrian committee, of course, fully support this, want to see a safer community. The fact is, we all know a lot of the roads that we have were built before the automobile. They're built for a horse and carriage. And you look at, you use Columbia, and I would even go smaller. Some of the streets like Page Street, Corgi Street, Hughes Street, one-way streets that we have in town, Yacht Avenue, which, yes, there is a sign at 10 miles an hour. I'm not so sure it's been updated in our code, but either way, it should be if we're going to bring it down. And the genesis of that is if someone is going 25 miles an hour on those roads, that is extremely fast on those roads. So we, as a legislative body, I look at it and say, change it. Let's make it safer. Enforcement is absolutely an issue, and we have to make sure that enforcement occurs as much as we possibly can. But we, again, as a legislative body, I think should be doing what we can. I do want to just say this really quickly, too, about the county roads. Remember, the county roads in town, you have Lafayette Street coming into the town, of course. You have Madison Avenue, Pittsburgh Avenue, Beach Avenue, kind of the periphery of the entire town, and Broadway, right? So that's, think of it, almost kind of circles the town. Broadway to Lafayette to Pittsburgh to Beach is a big circle, and then Madison is kind of right in the middle of that circle. And the point of me saying that is this doesn't reduce any of that. So you can go around basically all the entirety of our town at the same speed limit as today, but when you break off and you go into these little parts of the town, we're asking you to slow down a little bit. And we've looked at, the width of Cape May is like 2 miles. If you're slowing down 5 miles an hour on that trip, it really is not adding a lot of time to your trip. It's just making that trip safer. And in this ordinance, which I like, has this graph, and I just point back to that. The fatality rate in a car accident hitting a pedestrian at 30 miles an hour is 45%. So at 30 miles an hour, the fatality rate is 45%. At 20 miles an hour, it's 5%. So it's a 40% drop. So we are looking at reducing those. Now, I know there was a conversation about 15 miles an hour, and I agree, Deputy Mayor. I think, frankly, some of the other streets should be added to this, and I had a conversation, I think maybe Lyle Lane, Carpenter's Lane, Page Street, Dale Place. I mean, it's a very small street, but why not do it now? Cake Street, Clanghorn Place, Golf, and Schellingers.
I understand what you're saying about reducing these speed limits to these streets. Well, let's face it, Cake Street, they're never even going to get up to over 20.
No, I agree
So,
with
but what you're going to have to do, if you're lowering it, then you're going to have to post a sign. So now you're getting signs all over town for all different speed limits. That's going to be sign pollution, right? I mean, who's going to want to put a 10-mile-per-hour speed limit sign, and I'll use Hughes Street. They're $3 million houses, and who's going to want to put, they're not even complaining about speeders on Hughes Street because nobody can even speed on Hughes Street. But yet we're going to lower the speed limit and have to put signs on there if we're going to lower it, because you have to post the speed limit. The reason why right now is the community is at 25. So the whole community, we don't have to have a speed limit sign on every block because I think it's by state law says that if it's a community, it's automatically 25. So we don't have to post all these signs. We're going to have to add to all the signs in Cape May to post that it's this speed limit. And, we talked about, oh, it's the tourists. Look, most of the time it's the tourists that are going slow because they don't know where they're going. When the police did a study on New Jersey Avenue, they said they were stopping mostly the people that were working in town, trying to get to work, and they're the ones that are speeding. That's my point. If you enforce it, then the people going to work that come in every day are going to know to slow down. Everybody knows if they go to Wildwood Crest, they're out there and they're going to stop you for speeding.
I just think enforcing 20 miles an hour is better than enforcing 25 miles an hour. And a street like, I just decided to go over to Hughes Street today myself, just to see what it's like, and I was thinking, 15 miles an hour, is that appropriate for this street? I can tell you, I could have easily gone 25 miles an hour on that street. There was nobody around. It wouldn't have been a problem, and it wouldn't have been against the law. I drove it at 15 miles an hour, and I certainly felt a lot more comfortable and more sure that I wasn't going to hurt anybody that might be out in the rain walking their dog. Again, what I'm saying is that what we're proposing here, first of all, is not a lot of dollars. This is not a huge investment. This is, in fact, a very low investment.
What is the
City
cost?
manager might address that.
Because we didn't,
briefly.
you just talked about replacing the signs that are already there. We would have to add to those signs.
We could always add where it's necessary, but in a big picture, public safety, I think all the residents would support that. There's no downside to it. The 65 current signs we have that say 25-mile-an-hour speed limit right now, we can overlay them. Already have the price. It's less than $600 to redo them to 20 miles
per
an hour.
sign?
Yes, for all the signs, for all
it's
65
$600
signs.
per sign?
600, no, total, because it's a laminate overlay. They peel it, they put it right over. So we already have that, so it's a no-brainer there. But, I think in other neighborhoods, I don't care what price a house it is, they're for public safety, and they want to make sure their streets are safe. So if we have to post, I know you were concerned, Deputy Mayor, at the last meeting about, the other areas with a lot of, money doesn't count here. It's saving lives, reducing speed, and providing a better resort community when people come here. The word's going to get out in the media, and our police do enforce it. They stop a lot of cars. Do they write everybody a ticket? No. They're not out to do that. They're out to slow people down, and let them know we're out there patrolling, and we're trying to provide a safe resort so people want to continue to come here. They say, you know what, we know we have a lot of traffic. We've got the scooters, we got the horse and buggies, we got the golf carts. Too much conflict, just waiting for an accident to happen. And as this chart said, that Mike Yeager just said, down to 20 miles an hour, it would be a result, if there's an accident, 5%.
And,
It's there.
you know,
And this is not his survey. This is a survey well accomplished.
Right. And also, there are places where, I believe in the last meeting that Council Member Myers suggested that painting the street is appropriate. And I
And
think
that could be done.
I think there'll be cases, certainly our Public Works Department can decide where that's more appropriate, but if the very expensive house doesn't want a sign, and I shouldn't say that. I don't want a sign in front of my house either.
We were gonna
I'll
put-
take it.
we were gonna
It's
put one
the
there.
city's property.
I'm only kidding. But as,
Actually, I'll take a 20-mile-an-hour
but as you come
sign
in,
in front of my
as you
house.
come in
I would
Lafayette,
appreciate
the
it.
main entrance, you see how the county painted for there, big 25-mile-an-hour
Yeah,
speed
yeah.
limit in the street. So it can be done.
There are places we can.
We don't want to offend anyone. We just want to provide better public safety. So people want to come to this town because they know they're going to be safe, continue to be safe, and avoid any conflict with other modes of transportation in this city.
I was just going to say that the ordinance allows for that. It points to warning signs or signals. So you can have signs or you can have signals in the road like we've seen throughout town. So I just wanted to point out the flexibility in the ordinance is already there.
Well, the ordinance flexibility might be nice, but there's also the state law that has certain requirements. There's requirements on the height of the signs, and the size.
Well, signs have to comply with the manual on uniform traffic safety devices. But my point is that there's flexibility in this ordinance to follow the law. I'll just add one more thing. I think if you leave it as is, it's 25 throughout the city right now, if it's not posted. But as some of the council members have pointed out, if you're going the speed limit right now on some of these streets, you look like a maniac. I drive down Corgi Street every day. If I was going 25 down that street, which would be within the law, you look like a maniac. So I think that is what this is geared towards. I think we can talk about, council can talk about the 20 to 25, whatever you want to do with that. But I think the concept of recognizing local conditions have to dictate here for safety purposes and having not just a feeling about that, but actual statistics from the federal government, the National Transfer Safety Board, pointing to lower speed limit, reducing risk of fatality. It's in addition to common sense, you have some hard statistics that you can rely on in this decision-making. So I just wanted to point that out.
And a very rough poll of people. All I say is that I have not talked to anybody myself, nor have the other people that I've talked to about this, have we gotten any negative feedback? And I'm sure that there would be some in town, but I can tell you, my very unofficial poll says that most people support this as well.
Mayor,
Please.
I'm really happy about all the people that worked on this ordinance. I said to them, I think it was the last meeting, this really happened pretty quickly. If you put it in front of me, I'll vote on it and support it. I think it's really comes down to just constantly reminding the people, as there's so much going on in their head on vacation, to slow down. And I think, some of the signs may be hidden from parked cars, so I think that's another reason why it's important to put some paint down. One of the members in the audience mentioned to me today, putting the speed bumps through the paint. Now that we're talking about this, I wrote down all the other roads that you mentioned, Mayor. I'd like to add also Jackson Street. But I'd like to just talk about the speed limit.
Please.
I'd feel comfortable more with 15 miles an hour.
I agree.
And I'm excluding Corgi and Yacht from that discussion. I'm okay with them being 10 miles an hour each. Since, Corgi, there's so many children on that road and it's very narrow anyway. I feel like I'm interrupting people having a good time when I even drive down there, to be honest with you. But let's talk about adding some more roads to this, and let's talk about possibly raising to 15.
I agree. I would be fine with 15 across the board. I think the idea that the citizens seem to have spoken, maybe you keep that at 10. I hate to bump up what they have posted, but I'd be fine with 15 with everything else. But I do think, can I state a couple? Because I wrote a few down. Lyle Lane, of course, everybody knows that's behind the mall. There's really no reason to go 20 or 25 there as it is now. Carpenters, Jackson, I put in parentheses south of Lyle Lane, because I'm not sure if you were trying to capture,
Can we,
the main part of Jackson.
You're right. I always forget about
Mayor,
that
Mayor,
intersection.
Can we do south of Lafayette, because that's where it turns one way?
South of Lafayette, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay?
Okay, so Jackson, south of Lafayette, and that's basically postage, just by having it where it should be, but I think putting it in this ordinance makes sense. You have Golf Lane,
Glycorn?
Clanghorn, Cake, Dale Place, Page Street. I'll go through them again slower. So let me say those again. Golf, Clanghorn, Cake, Dale Place, Page, and anything else?
I have a couple.
Please.
others. What's your thought about Queen from Washington to Lafayette? It is a one-way street, just in that area.
I think makes sense. It's a one-way street.
And then the other one is Skellinger's,
Skellingers.
which,
Yeah, and Skellingers.
And I would also add, or ask to add Perry Street, the mall area.
Mall area.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know how to describe that per se. Manchester Street, yeah.
Mansion to Beach.
Mansion to Beach.
Mansion to Beach, okay, yeah.
Okay. And I think if maybe we missed one that should be at that 15, and somebody brings that to attention, it can add to this ordinance at a later date. Good? You want to make that in the form of a amendment?
I'll make a motion to amend as spoken.
And can I ask you on that amendment, putting, as this is listed, Hughes, Corgi, and all of those listed at 15, and keeping Yacht at 10, is that?
That's correct. That was my
That's-
understanding.
yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Does everyone understand that?
Yep.
Can I just summarize those again?
Please.
So we're clear. So keeping Hughes and Corgi, and turning them into 15, keeping Yacht Avenue at 10, adding Lyle Lane, Carpenter Lane, Jackson Street from Lafayette to Beach Avenue, Golf Lane, Clanghorn, Page Street, Cake Street, Dale Place, Queen Street from
Washington to Lafayette.
Washington to Lafayette, Skellinger and Perry Street from Mansion to Beach Avenue, and all those additions at 15. That's the
Yes.
motion.
Yes.
Is that correct, Mr. Meyer?
That's correct, yeah.
Do I have a second on that amendment?
I'll second.
Motion on the,
Can I just state something for the record, too? I think there's a separate paragraph in there about the reason for carving out Hughes and Corgi Street and Yacht Avenue. And that's because they are such a residential area, even tighter cartways. I think all of these streets are either lots of pedestrian activity or lots of residential activity. So I think they all fit into that similar category that served as a basis for carving out Hughes, Corgi, and Yacht Avenue. I just wanted to make sure that's clear on the record as you're going through this.
perfect. So we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
No?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes. Do I have a motion on the amended ordinance?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments?
Aaron, I just want to make sure it's on the record on the reason why I'm voting no, and that's because we should be enforcing and not just putting a Band-Aid on it and saying we're just lowering the speed limit.
Absolutely.
Lowering the speed limit does not help with the speeding in town.
Roll call?
This
This
is,
No.
this is first reading.
First reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be. Roll call, please?
motion to introduce. Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
No?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes. And just to answer the question on public comment, that's first reading. There will be second reading, and we will have a public comment session on that as well.
Second reading will
Thank you.
be October 4th.
Or you can wait to the end and then comment at that time.
Yes, tonight.
Yes.
Okay. Where are we?
Okay. Next, Mayor, we have some ordinances for second reading and consideration for adoption.
Okay.
We have ordinance 473-2022, an ordinance authorizing the sale of real property not needed for public use by auction to adjoining owners pursuant to NJSA 40A:10-12. This is Block 1102, Lot 5. And there is a public hearing scheduled, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on the ordinance 473? Seeing none, we can close public comment. Do I have a motion on ordinance 473?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Questions, comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 476-2022, an ordinance authorizing a lease agreement with Mid-Atlantic Center for the Arts, Inc. for continued operation of the mall information booth. And there's
Do I
a
have
public hearing scheduled.
I'm sorry, pardon me. Anyone wish to comment on ordinance 476? Seeing none, we can close public comment. Do I have a motion on 476?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I think I speak for everyone when I just say thank you to Mac for helping operate this, is that you do a wonderful job for the city, and it's a major asset, so thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Mayor, we have the public portion on the resolutions listed. If anybody would like to come forward to comment on any resolutions at this time?
Anyone here who would like to make a comment on any of the resolution on tonight's agenda? Public comment on tonight's resolutions? Sir?
You Just come on up and state your name and address for the record, please. Make sure the microphone is on. Thank you, Mr. Gillen-Schwartz.
Thank you. Joe Rafter, 1526 Yacht Avenue. First of all, thank you for keeping the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. Yacht Avenue could be the busiest dead-end street that I'm aware of, so thank you for that. if you're in a giving mood, I was hoping to get some consideration for a do not enter coming out of Wawa. I was here for our neighbor Mark Platzer's presentation, I guess a few weeks back. And I know there was some discussion about that. And what happens is the people who come out of Wawa on Yacht Avenue make that a very, very dangerous situation for us. Sorry, I shouldn't have touched this. And as you know, Yacht Avenue is like an L, and it's just dangerous there. So my ask as a neighbor and a few of my other neighbors would be to consider putting a do not enter coming out of Wawa to direct it all to Texas Avenue. So if I could pass these out. Can I do that?
Please.
Is that all right?
Thank you, thank you. Do not enter.
That's it?
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So if someone makes a right, thinking they're going to Wawa, or just making a right to go, not knowing where they're going, would you recommend them to turn down Yacht Avenue to do a K-turn? I mean, you're telling them you don't want them to enter Wawa from that direction, is that correct?
I don't want them to leave Wawa's parking lot.
Leaving
Yacht Avenue
the
entrance.
parking lot, I guess.
You know, so in other words, the only exit out of Wawa's parking lot would be on Texas Avenue.
Everyone
So you'd
understand
still
that?
have so you'd still have a two-way back on Yacht?
You can go into Wawa from Yacht Avenue.
From Yacht Avenue?
But not come out.
But you cannot come out, okay. That's what you're,
And again, it's,
Three trucks.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Traffic onto, back out to Texas Avenue, 'cause that's a way of diverting that congestion in the front of Wawa to the back.
That whole intersection is, we know how tight it gets right there. It's kind of crazy. So let us take this into consideration. And I do think we want to absolutely work on that intersection there for sure, one way or the other.
and I remember again from Mark's presentation about the landscaping, and one of the biggest problems there is the deliveries, right? And again, I'm pro-business, and we need some commercial. However, those trucks come down, and like our kids play, or it gets dangerous there. So again, thank you for the consideration.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Raptor. Any other questions or comments on resolutions this evening? Seeing none, we can close public comment.
Council, is there anything you'd like to remove from the consent agenda this evening?
Any resolutions to remove, council?
I just noticed the one about Village Green. Village Green, I believe, is Greene, is that correct? That's my.
Which number are we looking at, Councilmember?
Which one was that?
231?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, gee, that was my fault. Good catch.
Now, on a nice note on that one, that is to pave 3 blocks of Pennsylvania Avenue in Village Green, so that'll be a nice project.
Yeah.
I'll
But
fix
you
that
are
typo,
correct, I
Council.
need the E on there. Okay.
and even on,
Anything else from
I
the
will.
resolutions?
I want to remove,
Yes.
okay, 220, 221, 222, 223, 224, 226, 232, and 233. Just a couple.
233.
Tried to put them in the order I thought they might be.
Okay.
Any other ones, Council?
Anything else, council? No?
Okay. So on the consent agenda this evening, we have Resolution 22509, 2022, resolution certifying the 2021 City of Cape May Annual Audit. 22709, 2022, resolution opposing the proposed increases to the State Health Benefits Program. 22809, 2022, resolution reaffirming the Cape May City Municipal Parking Advisory Committee and reestablishing its membership. 22909-2022, resolution providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue into the budget pursuant to Chapter 159, Public Law 1948. 23009-2022, resolution for the release of a maintenance guarantee for CCK Equities LLC, which is West End Garage and Bakery at 482 and 484 West Perry Street. 23109-2022, resolution authorizing award of contract for reconstruction of Pennsylvania Avenue Phase 7. This is for Village Green area from Michigan Avenue to Trenton. And 23409-2022, resolution authorizing submission of a grant application to the Safe Streets and Roads for All discretionary grant program offered by the U.S. Department of Transportation. If we have-
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I do have one quick comment, again, that is a $2 million project that went out to bidding. The bids came in just over $2 million for the, which was at the number we were expecting, which is great, and is budgeted for to do 3 blocks of Pennsylvania Avenue. It's basically from Pittsburgh to Michigan, right? It's one of,
Yes,
anybody knows it's one of the widest streets in town is Pennsylvania Avenue, and needs it.
and this also grabs that one street off of Pennsylvania Avenue between Pennsylvania and Illinois. I think it's Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, so that'll be a great project to get going. And actually, I'm sorry, I know this is the consent agenda, but I did notice one name missing that did offer to help was this Martin Van Walsum for the
Well,
parking.
The reason why we didn't put
Okay.
him on there is because we thought he'd be better off on the, we were going to talk to him
Oh,
about putting
okay.
him on
I didn't
the,
know. Okay, good.
M-Track, because M-Track
Perfect.
actually has an opening,
Oh.
and his background is in,
Perfect, perfect.
that's why
Good.
we put it there.
Perfect, okay. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Okay. So we have Resolution 22009-2022, a resolution authorizing the award of a professional services contract to CME Associates as water projects engineer.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
The reason why I pulled this was, again, my concern is that for the desal, we should go out and try, if we're not getting them in bids, try to find an engineering firm that actually has a background in desal, reverse osmosis for RO, so that we can have somebody that has that experience to do the engineering for this plant. And that's the reason why I think that we should not award this at this time until we can find a company that meets the specifications that we are looking for.
May I make a comment?
Yeah, please.
I'm very excited about this project moving forward. And not only that, I think it's probably one of the biggest, most important projects we have moving forward. And, you know, I can go for the reasons, but I think many of you already know the reasons, but I think this team has what it takes to get the money, and I'm very hopeful all the money we need. We're talking about $30 million, right, guys? And I just think this team has what it takes to get the attention we need, and this facility is so, this application is so favorable, you know, because of all the people that we supply water to. And now, you know, we've seen all across the country, water's an issue.
Right.
We should be very lucky to have this already in place in town. We need to save it, we need to enhance it.
Absolutely.
And we need to make sure it's there for generations to come. And so I'm very confident in this team.
I'm gonna give a little background on.
Just
Okay.
let everybody, and then
Okay,
we'll
I'm
come back.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to comment on it. I'm not to oversimplify it. I do have a degree in mechanical engineering. I'm not a practicing engineer. And I'm somewhat familiar with what process they're going to go through to build a reverse osmosis plant, or basically a desal plant, versus the type of plants that they've already done, which are in fact very high filtration plants. We're talking about putting putting water in high pressure through filters, and in the case of a desal, it's just I think, again, I hope I'm not too oversimplifying, but it's a much finer filter, and it takes a lot more pressure, and it takes a lot more heavier pipe, et cetera. Basically, they have the engineering skills to do exactly that. They're just going to raise the level of the equipment that they're using, and really to put to make anybody more comfortable with what's going on here. If we wanted to pay for a consultant to come in once the design is done and have somebody who has built a desal plant, an engineering company, look at it and say, yeah, that looks good, we could do that, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff they're taking parts off the shelf. They're in the catalog. They're picking parts in the catalog that are going to make, obviously this is a very complicated design, but they are using just a little bit heavier equipment than they've used in the past with other designs of plants they've done. So I think it's not as risky as it might sound to a layperson.
Yeah, and I agree with both Councilmember Meyer and Yeager. This company has been before us a couple of times. They've presented before us a couple of times. Their credentials are on the record. Their credentials are extensive. They have engineers, they have grant writers, they have, they can provide exactly what we need to have. They've done the legwork, they've done the research. I'm confident voting for this, and I echo everyone else's sentiments.
Deputy Mayor?
I just want to go back on some of their presentations. $30 million. The idea is right now we have 2 RO plants, or 2 RO systems. They want to use the parking lot next to the building and put in 3, and then tear the other 2 down. That only gives us a 50% increase on for $30 million. What we should be doing, and this is why I'm saying if we had experts in the field, we should be revamping the 2 systems that we already have. If it's upgrading the filter housings or the membranes, and then adding on additional to that. What's going to happen if we don't do this properly, we're going to end up not having enough water after we spend $30 million, because 50% increase, and right now we're already short, and we're looking at homes going in that originally a family would live in it, and they would have a 4-bedroom house, and maybe they have 2 or 3 people. They're being rented out, and they're putting in 8 to 10 people in these houses, which have increased our consumption of water. We should be building something more for $30 million instead of just a 50% increase. So that's where I'm saying that. I have asked this company when they came before us before. They don't have expertise in the field of reverse osmosis. And that's why I was saying we should go out, find a company that has this experience for the upgrades of this, such as in Florida, they have a lot of these RO systems. They have upgrades that they've done to their systems down there. And that's what we should be looking at to do.
We did go out, and that's how we got this bid.
Well-
And that was a public bid that anybody could have bid on. However, I have to say, this engineering firm they went out and to do the initial study, they went out and got a grant to pay for it. So we haven't paid them a dime. So they got a grant, they did the initial study, didn't cost the taxpayers, city, Cape May, anything. Then they helped us, and this council deserves a lot of credit too, to be blunt, but they helped us get on the discretionary funding for Senator Booker and Menendez in the state of New Jersey. That's a $600,000 grant that will most likely pay for a majority of the engineering. So they've basically paid for themselves already. Besides the fact of their expertise is what is the biggest issue, is their expertise, which they've done a lot of water plants and have done a tremendous job in doing those water plants. And I think just going back a little bit more general to what Mr. Meyer said is, you look at the news these days, and frankly, Cape May is not immune to it. When we came into office, 2 of the water wells were down. 50% of our water wells were not working. Everything's working now. We had no issues over the summer, and that was important. We had to make sure that that was happening. CME was already helping in our water plant over the summer already. So they're very familiar with it. Going back to the original install of the desal plant, so several members in their firm were involved in that as well, so they were already involved in the initial install. So I think I'm excited for this, and it's, as has been stated several times, this is extremely important to the city of Cape May. And some of the things that you said, Deputy Mayor, are so important. Right now, West Cape May cannot add any water. We do not have the capacity. We do not meet DEP regulations. So it's so important for us to move this forward as quickly as possible. As all of you may know, $65 million was just Congressman Jeff Van Drew helped get $65 million for our base here at the Coast Guard base. That'll be going toward barracks, essentially. Right now, we don't have the water to supply to those barracks. So this is going to be a major project that needs to happen, and we really hope that we can work in getting some federal and state funding to do so. And frankly, we won't be able to do it without that funding. But I think I'm confident in this firm, and I think they'll do a great job. And they bid on the project and have won the award. So,
Well, there was also another company that bid on it also, correct?
yeah, there is. And we have worked with that company in the past as well. All right. Do we have any other comments?
I'd like to just add one more, if I may,
Sure.
Mayor. I would like to incorporate what we have currently as part of this new program, but it's just, that building has reached its capacity and it's reached its life. It's over 100 years old, and at this point, where the electrical boxes are located, it's an occupational hazard, and that's been mentioned a couple times.
Well, if you, the building itself is 100 years old, so they won't be able to tear it down, right? And the RO2 systems are in this building. In order to, you're talking about the electrical system, they could put up plexiglass so they could still see through it and make it safe. So there's a ways of working around this to make the system safe while working on it.
Whatever those ways are, we have to hire an engineer to say that that's the way to be done, so.
Well, but this engineer has already said that we should just tear it down. And I'm saying, for $30 million, we have to be smart about this.
Okay. Any other comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan,
No?
Councilmember Yeager,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 22109, 2022, resolution authorizing a professional services contract with Robert J. Conley, AIA, to proceed with initial design phases for a new police station facility.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
I just have some question here. We had put a task force together for this. I guess I'm a little disappointed that we have a resolution coming forth that talks about the task force and their recommendations, but they've never did a presentation to council or have given us a report. So I don't understand why we're basing it on recommendations and a report that, as a council member, I've never received.
Okay. The task force was just formed, as you know, and frankly, they want to start working with an engineer to make that presentation to council. They have to work with a professional to do that.
According to this resolution, these are the recommendations from the council to go forth. My second thing is, we're going to pay somebody to design a facility, but yet we don't have the ground or the place to put it yet. I think we're putting the cart before the horse. Let's secure the land before we do the building. Now, back, and I have it right here, the RFP for when they did the public safety building, Rob Conley actually did two different designs, one for the firehouse and one for the police station. So I don't understand why we're paying $80,000 to do something that I think was already done once.
No, and they're actually doing the first phase for, I believe it's 30,000. And frankly, that is less than what they did the first phase for the firehouse. And let me just say this right from the beginning. For anyone who doesn't know, Mr. Conley and his firm are the ones who are doing the fire station right now. We've had a tremendous relationship with them. They've done a wonderful job and are doing a wonderful job. So it made all the sense in the world to work with the people that we've been comfortable with. They've done a great job and are willing to do it for $30,000 to get the ball rolling.
Well, I have here, developmental phases are 30 and 50,000 respectively, totaling $80,000.
Yes, so
So-
first phase would be 30 and
So this would be
50.
for $80,000.
Second phase would be 50,000 for a total 80.
Right, so I just say, why are we spending $80,000 to, and I'm not saying not to give it to them, I'm saying, let's wait until we secure the land on where it's going to go, so they can, do a design appropriate to the size of the lot that we're going to be getting.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan,
No?
Councilmember Yeager,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes, and I thank you, Mr. Connolly, for being here, and we're not finished, so we got a lot of work left to do, but I've been just so happy with the work that you did for the firehouse. And let me just say, the fire chief also just had rave reviews. The police chief was very confident in you, unanimously voted on by the task force. But in general, the main thing being, when we first approached you with the firehouse, we said, look, the citizens have voted on this. We have a $5 million bond. That's what we're doing. I never felt pressure from your firm to push this up much more or anything like that. You knew what the task was, and you went to task on it. So I appreciate it and look forward to a very similar result with the police station. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, council, we have 22209-2022, resolution supporting the State House Commission pre-application to the NJDEP Green Acres Program for disposal of .14 plus or minus acres of parkland in connection with the proposed development of the new police station facility.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
My only comment here is the fact that we're telling how much we want to get, but nothing in this resolution tells us how much we're giving up and how much land we're willing to give up for this. And I thought that should be in the resolution, on how much we're giving up.
I know it's like 4.8 acres or something like that. 4.8.
4.18, I believe.
So we're giving up over 4 acres for a quarter acre?
That's correct.
And all of council's good with that, giving up 4 acres?
That's
Well, we're
happened already.
preserving land
In town
in town.
versus in a.
But where are these lots located? Because we're saying we're giving this up, but I don't know if this is lots that are inside, outside, are they where we're going to have off of Cape May Avenue, we're going to put the parking lot?
We had a very big a public meeting on this in April. It was majorly supported by everyone that was in the audience, that were frankly thrilled to see the city preserving property right next to the Sewell track, 4 acres, that everybody wanted to see preserved as green acres anyway. And I mean everybody. Everyone who spoke was thrilled about that. And in exchange, we are getting the location for the police department, right, next to the school, next to the park, with plenty of parking. And it's a developable lot. So we had to pull that lot out of Green Acres to build the police station. And to do that, we were happy to give up those lands on Pittsburgh Avenue. And if you remember, Deputy Mayor, those lands were given away, by the previous administration right at the end there, with nothing, getting nothing from it. So as you remember, the first thing we did, we took them out of preservation. And at that time, people said, why are you taking it out of preservation? Well, we said at that time, look, we want to make sure that it's used for something valuable. The taxpayers own that property. So this is what we did. We used that property. We said we are going to preserve that land. Please don't be concerned. We preserved it, but with a trade, and we ended up getting that lot basically for free because we were already putting that on the Rossi list.
My point wasn't that we were preserving it. My point was that we didn't specify how much we're trading for that lot.
But we did, because we went through a very public noticing.
But it's not in the resolution. We can say what we ever want in public,
Fine,
but
fine,
until
let's
it's on
add
the
it to the
resolution.
resolution.
Hold on a second. That process, I'm looking at the public notice, there was
There's a
2
billboard.
signs at that property over there for, I think, 30 days. We had notices to the paper. We had a sign hanging in City Hall. it was on the website, it was in a resolution, it was on an agenda. This information was out there, and I can very easily redline this right now to add that. I have the language right here, I can copy and paste it. But the idea that that's not out there, that's been out there for months.
But the problem is, if we don't put it all in one spot, then it's not easily accessible.
This
And
is
that's
just,
why I'm saying, all I'm saying is, can we put in there how many acres, and saying we're not going to go beyond that? Or is it already a done deal that we're giving up the 4 acres, we don't have to worry about going beyond 4 acres?
that's the proposal. This is a resolution. The NJDP needs this as a condition of the pre-application. So this is among like hundreds of documents. They want in a resolution signed by the city. Are you in favor of this or not? And we've gotten to this point of going through that, but the information is out there. And like I said, I'm happy to redline this right now. I can throw it in. It's no problem.
Thank you. I would appreciate that we put in there that it's 4 acres, so it's,
Would you make that in a motion?
But let's be exact. I know it's a little more than 4 acres.
It's 4.86, and it's right from the notice. I can copy and paste it right now.
I'd like to make a motion to add that lot acreage into the resolution.
We can put it in the second whereas if that works for everybody.
I'll second that. Did you want to say, wait,
Yeah, I'll just,
then I'll wait the second, I guess.
yeah, let me explain it. So the second reads, in conjunction with the proposed development of a new police station facility in the area of Lafayette Street Park along St. John Street, the project, it is necessary to remove the Green Acres restrictions from .14 plus or minus acre portion of Lafayette Street Park. And this is the new language from the notice. As compensation for the proposed disposal, the city proposes to dedicate as parkland approximately 4.86 plus or minus acres of city-owned land, commonly known as the Sewell Tract, and identified as Block 1163, Lot 7, block and lot numbers, on the official tax map of the city of Cape May, and commonly referred to as the Sewell Tract, and in parentheses, replacement land. So I think that probably completes the picture that you were concerned about,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor.
thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that.
We have a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan,
Yes,
Councilmember Yeager,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes. Do I have a motion on the
Can I
amendment?
make a comment?
Yes, please.
I just think I'm very proud of this council that we're moving forward with this police station. It's about time. It's a long time coming. I think everybody knows I support the police, everything that you do in Cape May, and I support what you've had to go through for so many years. And if people don't know, our jail cells are from an old Navy barracks, you know, so they've lived their, you know, they spent their life serving, you know, and I also think this is an ideal location for this. It's going to be right by the park. It's going to be in our most concentrated area where children are from the housing authority and the school. And I just hope one day I can see a police officer just pulling his car in and him or her car and picking up the basketball and hanging out with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
It's been a long time.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we get a second? I'm sorry.
We did get a second.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if we had a motion in a second.
I think we had a motion from Mr. Meyer on the amended resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second?
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan,
yes,
Councilmember Yeager,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes, and I echo Mr. Meyer's
Yes.
sentiments.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Well said.
Next, council, we have Resolution 22309, 2022, resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with the Blasio and Associates for survey, engineering, and permitting services for the Washington Street Connector Storm Sewer Improvements Project.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
The reason why I pulled this one is, this as you leave town, this is where it floods a lot. There is a pipe in there, and I understand, Mr. Belasco, that the city is now doing maintenance work on that fallout pipe to make sure that stays opening and closing properly. That's the flapper. The flapper, yeah.
That's correct.
We're doing that?
Now, the county is.
The county's doing
Yeah,
that.
the county's making that repair, I call it the flapper, it's like a duck.
Duck bill.
Yeah, it opens
Right.
and shuts, and that's been broken, and that was one of our issues. This issue here is part of our emergency management, our direct route during a storm to get out to where it's flooding down there. We wanted to get the engineering done. We've had a verbal agreement with Bob Church in the county that's going to do, if we do the engineering, the study, they'll do the work.
Right, because that was my point. That's a county road.
Yes, ma'am.
So I didn't understand why the city taxpayers were paying for something that should be paid by the county.
Well, in
And
this
that
case,
was my-
it's a win-win. This is our evacuation route, and you saw it today, how it was flooded earlier today with all the rain we had. That's our main route leaving. So in my opinion, I think in Lou's also, it's a win-win for the city of Cape May to work with the county. And Bob Church has worked with us hand in hand on everything. So he's an honorable man, and when he says we can do it, we can do it.
Okay.
So,
'cause that was- I mean,
our-
I talked to Lou before
Yeah.
the meeting.
Okay.
Our agreement with the county is that if we were to handle the survey, engineering, and permitting services, they would do all of the construction work. So that's what Mike's referring to by saying that the county will uphold their end, we just have to do
Right.
our end.
Because like Mr. Vol said, it's our evacuation route, which is one reason why the county should step up and do this at a quicker pace and, than for us to do a lot.
Well, let me just say, they did a tremendous job getting this agreement. This wasn't a county project. They didn't even have this on their radar. But Mr. Vol and Mr. Belasco approached the county, said, hey, look, we have a problem here on a county road. We have had multiple issues with the duck bill, the flapper, and really what we need is a duplication of a drainage, so that if there is a problem with the duck bill, next time, there's a secondary means to get the water back into the harbor as much as possible. That's what we're doing to hire this engineer to do that. They negotiated with the county, who had no idea about this, didn't have this project on their radar whatsoever. They brought it to their attention, and they basically negotiated and said, look, if you guys get the permitting, get the engineering done, we'll do the project. So that was a great job by you guys to do that, and this will be a major betterment to the community for $13,000 to solve a very big issue, which, by the way, may help our CRS rating, which, as many insurance premium owners know, the lower we go for our CRS rating, the lower your insurance premiums are. So these projects for $13,000 are a no-brainer, and eventually adding these different projects together will lower insurance premiums for the flood insurance payers in the city of Cape May.
I think, though, one of the best point was the fact that the county's going to maintain the duck bill that's there now, because I
Yes.
think that's a,
Yeah, and the Tide Flex valve, which is what they're officially called, the reason why we need a duplication of storm drainage in this particular area is a Tide Flex valve is only as good as frankly, a soda bottle, just floating into it and jamming it up and breaking it. So, they tell you that you can get 10 years out of it, but really if some trash gets into it, you might get a month out of it. So we need to have this kind of, yes, thank you, backup.
And just since we're talking about it for the public's edification, the drainage, this is right next to the Riggins gas station. The drainage there goes all the way down Texas Avenue, and then basically next to Dry Dock Ice Cream, there's an outflow pipe that goes into the harbor. So it goes a pretty long distance all the way around. This one would go basically straight out into the harbor from the turn there at the Riggins. So I think it just simplifies it, and again, have that duplication, 2 systems instead of 1, hopefully will work better. All right, any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan,
yes,
Councilmember Yeager,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
Resolution 22409, 2022, resolution authorizing change order to contract for Phase 1 of the Allen AME Church Restoration Project, including stabilization and weatherization.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Questions or comments?
The reason why I pulled this was, I see they're putting on the cedar roof now, but there was another roof that was put on like a year ago. And I guess my question is, the roof that was put on a year ago, why didn't they find these issues when they put that roof on a year ago? That, because I think it had to do with putting, from what I was reading in here, it said they don't have anything to nail it to, or?
Well, you're putting on a significantly heavier, sturdier roof material than the asphalt shingles. So the plywood that was put onto the roof for the asphalt shingles was sufficient for that covering. It's not sufficient to hold the cedar shakes. So that's why we had to bulk this up, and they didn't know that until they removed the asphalt shingles from there.
Also, I think the warranty for the cedar material calls for that
Correct.
service that had to be installed. So I don't think the manager's office wanted to get into a warranty issue, and that's why it was.
Only reason why I'm asking is because I knew there was brand-new plywood put on, and that, now we're taking it off, and that's why I was asking.
Yeah, we're adding to it, and it has to do with the difference between asphalt shingles and cedar.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, this is through a grant for the historic preservation of the building. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes?
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
22609, 2022, resolution authorizing and adopting an updated safety manual, policies and procedures. It's Appendix A to the Personnel Policy and Employee Manual for the City of Cape May.
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry, sorry.
worries.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes?
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Abstain?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes. Okay.
Next, we have 23209, 2022, resolution authorizing advertisement for bid proposals for a public announcement system along the beach strand.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
My only comment here was, we're talking about laying wire. Have we looked into it, Mrs. Baldwin, about doing the wireless? Because everything's wireless now, and it'd be nice if we couldn't have to string wire and then have it break and
Yeah.
things like that.
Good question, because we did look at, we actually got some information from a couple different companies. And we looked at wireless because that was originally brought up because of the wiring, the fiber optic, all of the speaker wires and so forth. The reason that they said not to do the wireless is because of interruption and the distance that you're spanning.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and they said that it wouldn't be as reliable. We have currently wireless systems that are out there now, and they're on battery packs. Those you have to replace all the time, and they weren't reliable. They didn't get the power as well to hit the beachfront or to hit the water. So that's the reason we ended up going in this direction.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. And just another clarification on this. Back in 2018, there was a resolution or a bond ordinance for $250,000 for this. So there is money that is allocated for this project. Okay.
That's great. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes, and thank you for your work on this to get this going. That's great.
Thank you all.
And finally, 23309, 2022, resolution for the payment of bills.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Questions, comments?
I had a question about the bills, and I think I read that when saw all those refunds for the David Bromberg concert, and it's my understanding, I was talking through email with Mr. Vol today, that the performer got COVID, so they had to cancel it. But I see in the bills that we're paying Spy Boy for David Bromberg's concert for $9,500. So my point is that maybe we should take that payment out until after the concert is completed. and then put it back into the bills.
I think Casey responded, Deputy Mayor, that they should be paid because they performed.
They didn't perform.
They didn't.
They canceled the concert.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we did all this. There's a stack of this big of refunds.
Oh, I
Can I
know, I
ask-
had to sign one of them.
Can I ask a question then? Is this delaying this, would that be an issue? And just to confirm that?
Yeah, I'm only looking to take out, Spy Boy is getting paid $31,000. So, so we just,
Motion to,
my motion would be just to remove the one payment for the one concert that didn't occur.
fine, that makes sense.
Only because we were having issues in the past with, and the
Let's
reason
confirm.
why a lot of these weren't, they don't get put on the payment until after the concert is done. And that was my reason for,
It's not a problem.
okay, so I'm going to make a motion
Deputy Mayor,
for Bill
okay, yeah, I was going to say, could you identify which one
I
you're
have it
looking
here.
at? Yeah.
22-02595,
To remove from the.
to remove David Bromberg's concert fee of $9,537.
Do I have a second on that amendment?
I'll second it.
Do you see where it is on the actual attachment to the bill, like on the bill list?
Hold on. Oh, that part?
Yes, just so I can. Thank you.
So we'll hold back the 9,000, Mayor, and pay the rest of it.
Only because, there's a chance we're at the end of summer now, and it might not
Be till next year?
happen
or
till next
whatever,
year.
right. All right, so we have a motion to amend. We have a motion and a second. Roll call on the amendment.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer? Yes. Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes. Anything further on the bill?
No.
Okay. Motion to approve the bills as amended. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Any other questions or comments on the bills? Roll call?
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sheehan?
Yes?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes. Okay.
And that's it. Any old business, council?
Any old business, council? No? New business, city solicitor?
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
City manager? City clerk?
No, sir.
Okay. Councilwoman Baldwin?
Just one quick update. The bathrooms for up on up next to Convention Hall. We have the architect and the engineers working on those plans at this point, and we should be ready to go out for bid probably within another couple of months.
That's great.
And hopefully construction over the winter.
Perfect. Been talking about that trailer for a long time.
Next season.
Good,
That
okay.
was the plan.
Plus the updates to the other trailer
Oh,
bathrooms.
the other
but then-
trailer will be removed from Beach Drive.
Right. But I meant DPW is
Oh,
working
yeah,
on the other ones
DPW.
to refresh them too, so that's
All
great.
in the bid.
Yeah.
That's great.
Anything else?
No, I'm done.
Mr. Meyer? Councilman Meyer?
I'd like to just repeat what I said earlier. I just think this desalinization plant is the most important thing moving forward for our city, and for our future leaders going down the road, as well as the police station. It's about time that these officers get what they deserve, and in connection with the park moving forward, the Lafayette Street Park. It's about time, and I think we have a bright future looking ahead for us.
That's great. Deputy Mayor?
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilman Yeager?
Yeah, I have something I'd like to mention here. It's about, some time ago, we had Paul Mikowitz here. Paul is from the New Jersey Bike Walk Coalition. He did a nice presentation on, some training that they do and how we can improve bicycle safety. And the good news is that our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee has gotten a grant from the NJBWC to have a training program done here in Cape May. And that's going to occur, it's called Street Savvy Cycling, and Paul will be, I think he's going to be with Andrea Silk. I assume both of them are coming, but Paul's going to be having this educational program here in the city on the 17th of September, and it's from 2 to 6 p.m. We are basically closing down Gurney Street from Soldiers and Sailors down Beach Avenue, and there's going to be like what they call parking lot training, but Paul will be showing, he'll be instructing a group of up to 20 people on bicycle safety, equipment, understanding the rules of the road, et cetera. And then for the second half, that's going to be for up to 20 people. The second half, he's going to take 10 people out on a somewhere between a 3 and 5 mile ride throughout the town, giving the cyclists, detailed instruction on how to get around town. It's a great thing, I think. What we've done, what the bike committee has done is put together a list with Paul of trying to get a lot of I guess you would call some of the more people in town that can help us train other people in town about bike safety. So we're looking at inviting people from, say, the lifeguards, Public Works, Kiwanis, Coast Guard, the police department will have 2 representatives. And going down the list, we get to the council members. The deputy mayor was named specifically in this little thing here. Hopefully she can attend. Lorraine is highlighted. Deputy, yes, Councilwoman Baldwin. And we're looking to have the mayor of West Cape May and the mayor of Cape May Point and our mayor, along with hopefully some family members. But anyhow, it ought to be interesting, very interesting, and we hope that some of the public will be able to witness the training that's going on. And then I'm going to try to get out of that 5 mile ride that he's talking about later on, but maybe I can get out at 10 to 12. But in any case, it ought to be a really great day. And the street will only be shut down for 2 hours, and then after that, again, people will be on the road. So hopefully a lot of people come out and check it out when it happens.
That's great.
This is going up on the website. Terry's done, by the way, Terry Diubaldi's here, and the woman has worked incredibly hard on putting this all together. Thank you, Terry. But the question was whether or not it's going up on the website.
We'll get it on
I
the
think
website.
that's to be determined only because it's not a public invitation. It's a private invitation to start with in this particular program.
If you want it on the website, we'll put it on the website.
Yeah.
And on the city's Facebook, no problem.
Yeah, like I said, I just don't want it to be confused that other people can
Understood.
do that.
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Mr. Yeager?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. I just would, I know City Manager Volv mentioned the line striping, probably should start this week. So you may see some of the crosswalks being repainted, some of all the lines are being painted basically throughout the entire town. So that'll be a neat
sharrows.
project. And the sharrows, the bike sharrows. And I also want to thank Sturdy Bank. We did notice that the interest rates were going up, so I know the city manager and deputy city manager talked to Sturdy Savings Bank about increasing our interest rate, which they obliged, and we're happy to hear, so that's great news. And then I also just want to thank all of our workers, our city employees, especially our police, fire, DPW, our clerk's office, all the offices here in City Hall. I have to say, I witnessed firsthand your hard work, and it was a very busy season, and I can see that as evidenced by the occupancy tax and the beach tags that are up, which over 21 was a huge season for us. So to be up, I know it was a busy summer. So I know I left a lot of people out there, but I want to thank all of our employees, but I also want to thank all of the citizens in Cape May, our hard workers, whether it be a restaurant or busboy or bartender or working in a hotel. It was a long season and a hard one with staff shortages and everything else, so I appreciate it. I do want to make just one small comment. I've gotten a lot of questions about redevelopment over the last couple days and what's going on at the Beach Theater. You know, got a lot of different opinions one way or the other. I do want to say publicly, this council has said no to redevelopment to the developer himself, and I know that hasn't really been said. That was through our attorney to his attorney. That was almost a year ago now. So I want that out there on the record because I think there's some confusion in the community, but the fact is this council has said no to redevelopment. And I want to just say why very simply right now. And I've talked to everyone up here. I think we all want what's fair. And to have one person not go before the boards, whether it be HPC or the Historic Preservation Commission or planning or zoning or environmental commission review. You know, this town, every one of us could say a decision that was made that they disagree with. Me, myself, I had one of my applications tabled once, so I understand some of the frustration that people have with the boards. But I think if you close your eyes and walk around Cape May and you look at what our town is, the value of our town, the uniqueness of our town, you have to thank the volunteers that are on those boards. They have helped make what Cape May is today. And so to be asked to not go to those boards, to me, is a non-starter. Those boards are good people. They are the voice of the community. They are how the community decides what happens in the future of our town. And frankly, to be blunt, that developer then would be talking to us as a council and avoiding those boards. And I'm uncomfortable with that. I'm completely uncomfortable with making such major decisions on behalf of the citizens. And it doesn't have to be done in public, you know, and that is very uncomfortable for me. And it's not a situation that I want to be in. It's not a situation I'd want my fellow council members to be in. So I want to say that for the record publicly. I've said that privately and for important reasons, but I do want to say that for the record tonight. So thank you. And with that, we'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak? Please.
Just please state your name and address for the microphone, for the minutes.
Hi, Mary Snyder, 1343 Pennsylvania Avenue. I just wanted to just kind of make a statement and just kind of see what's out there. I took a ride on Saturday night through town. Actually had a 21-year-old niece with me, and she said, oh, she's not from here, she's from North Wildwood, but she said, oh, many young kids come here anymore? I'm like, not really. You know, it's starting to get a little bit younger. At which point we rode on to Carpenter, and there were literally probably a swarm of 40 to 50 kids together. The smell of pot reeked all over the place. I know we read a lot about Sea Isle and Avalon and some of the issues they're having. I don't know, Deacon, if we're seeing that here, and what are we doing to prepare for potential issues? You know, I don't come into town that much, especially a little bit later at night, maybe 9:30. So just wanted to kind of put that out there. Thank you.
Chief, do you want to address that? And I know, I appreciate that. I think we're all.
You saw the police there, did you? Mayor, I appreciate that, absolutely. I'm hoping you bumped into an anomaly. Everywhere you go now, you're smelling marijuana. It's been legalized. It's been, not necessarily warranted by the police department. We're fighting our own struggles with keeping it out of our officers' hands and not having them be involved in it. In later times, or when you come across that, please just throw a call to the non-emergency number and just let us, if we're not there, let us get there and get into that crowd and mix that up, and we push that on. What you saw or what you've read about in Avalon, Stone Harbor, Ocean City, they were shutting beaches and boardwalks down overnight. I knock on wood for these last 2 summers since the opening up of marijuana and the lessening of the juvenile laws that we were able to become involved in. Our hands were tied by the AG's office very quickly with 21 mandates they put out very quickly in the last 2 years. And they kind of said, yeah, don't just kind of pat them on their rear end and let them go on their way. So we're doing our best with that. But everyone else that walks around town, I don't know that we saw that a lot this summer. Yeah. Again, I'm hoping it was an anomaly. But again, anyone, you see that 884-9500 will be there within minutes to do that and better enforce that.
When we rode, we actually saw some more of them down on the side around Gurney Street and Beach and Gurney. I guess it's another huge pack of kids. I mean, even to the point my 21-year-old niece said to me, wow, look at this crowd. Oh my gosh, look at this crowd, Mayor. Is this what you normally have? And I was really taken back by it. So
Yeah,
I'm concerned that, maybe they're getting a little bit tougher in the other towns. Are they pushing them this way?
That's possible.
And, what are we going to do to prepare for that? Because that is not what we want to see.
Some of the things we've actually already done earlier in the season, last season and this season, we, Lieutenant Walker, Lieutenant Mazza, actually met with our county prosecutor's office and met with their senior staff, their judicial staff, to see how we would address contact with the officers contacting juveniles. And we went through a few periods of legal updates to make sure we were handling them correctly. So our officers are very well how to do curbside adjustments. We utilize the county's Impact 6 program when we come across juveniles that are in this problem. And again, our hands are a little tied with their marijuana because they're almost allowed to have it. And it's unfortunate. We can take it, we can't search them, we can walk up on a whole crowd of kids. Everyone can smell marijuana. I can't search them anymore. That's not my right. That's not my rule. That's the state of New Jersey's rule. They changed that and took that out of our hands.
They vape on, for instance, at Dakota Beach. My sister was there. She said it stunk of marijuana. Everybody was vaping down.
You're not supposed to smoke on any of our
We have a
beaches.
city code.
We have a city code there. So if you see that, yes, we can definitely address that. If you're on the beach and you see someone smoking, vaping, whatever, please call us, make us aware of it. We'll go down, and that we can enforce.
Is that a city code also in the city that they can?
There's a city code that was enacted when that law came out that indicates it's not the possession or anything like that, but the act of smoking in
The
public.
mall, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not.
In the mall, why I was smelling that in the mall.
You're not supposed to.
No.
Yeah, you're not supposed
Yeah.
to.
It reeked. I mean, we rode through this like.
I mean, if they're standing in the street, one thing, they're actually, impeding traffic, but on the premises, the city premises, they're not allowed. So please, again, call me or call the 884-9500 and we'll address it immediately. 100%.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Oh, and as you're coming up, ma'am, I do have a meeting set up with Lenny Desiderio, Mayor, Seattle City Commissioner, and he's kind of been at the forefront of some of those issues. So I will be talking about that. Hello.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
Patricia Turnavy, 719, 721 Franklin. I just want to thank you very much for sending your city solicitor over to my house the very next day. I really appreciate that. And I do want to be kept in the loop, and if anything comes up, especially with your library, with my library, with your library, when we start construction, I'd really appreciate if you keep me informed beforehand, because I do rent my house. This way I can kind of jiggle around my rentals so that I know that if there's like a lot of noise, I can fix that. And the house next to me, I know that I actually went through the plans from before, and I saw that you approved the demolition, just like you had said. And I just want to know if you're going to do something like that, if you could just, bring me into, I know I'm not part of your council, I know I'm not into your privy, your group, but because I'm next door, I would really appreciate if I could know that, so I can kind of in the long term adjust my rental property,
Absolutely.
if that's possible. And again, thank you so much for, I wasn't there and I didn't meet you, but you did leave your card and we talked the next day, so.
You're quite welcome. It was a pleasure talking with you. We'll keep you informed as
Thank you.
things
Thank you. And
progress.
like I said, I'm very for everything that you're doing. I think it's wonderful. I mean, everything is really great on the street. I know it's a work in progress. And I know I have to go through some, some issues before we get there. And I don't have an issue with that. I just want to be kept in the loop. That's all.
Absolutely.
Okay? Thanks again.
Thank you.
Mike and Lou, in connection to that, I know we had talked before about this, but I noticed they're still doing that. The construction workers should not be parking in our city lot. They should be parking over at Lafayette Street to allow our employees and people coming into City Hall the opportunity to park in that lot. I mean, I came at 6:30 and they were already parking in the spots, and then they eat their lunch in their cars. They're not even moving at all. And any construction site, they know they shouldn't be parking in those spots. That should be open to the workers and people that have to visit City Hall.
You're correct. And it's an ongoing issue, and we're working on it all the time, and we'll just remind them again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Cohen, and I live at 1009 Michigan Avenue. And I just want to say I was really so pleased to hear the changes that are going to be coming to the playground and the park. That's my backyard. And as a grandmother of 3 little kids, it is well used, and it's really wonderful about all the new equipment that's planned and about the rubber. And I'm very excited. My concern, though, as a homeowner and living there since 2000, is exactly what the scope of the plans are, particularly with the path. I know I wrote to you, and I appreciate your response. The path that was proposed to go around the pond, because I'm just concerned, quite honestly, with the upkeep, because I know a couple things. The pond has been undermined many times, the wall, because the weeding. I mean, it's really a challenge for the land crew, who comes by, and they do a great job every week, and they come really early on camp days, and I love listening to all the kids that are in camp, and it's wonderful. But I'm just concerned about the impact it's going to have and what materials would be chosen so that aesthetically it works with a park and isn't this stark concrete or what have you, as well as, the trees, that they wouldn't be impacted. I know I've called the Shade Tree Commission several summers already. Our trees are being strangled by ivy, and my husband actually took an axe and basically cleaned up to salvage the trees. And so I thank you for that. But I'm just concerned. And I know it's not on the agenda tonight, but I know there are plans. I mean, I read the great article in Cape May Star and Wave. So as, residents there, we'd like to have some answers.
I think right, so there's phases of this park, number one.
Okay.
And it's an alternate to go around the park. So we weren't even sure if that was going to be included in this initial phase. I think it is part of the bid as an alternate, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say this, there'll be a lot more discussion on that. We figured that the people with the houses right near there would want to say something. So that's an alternate. And at this point, I'm thinking probably it won't happen just because of cost, to be honest with you. But there will be a discussion on that.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we share in your concerns, by the way, all of them. Yeah, definitely.
And-
Yeah.
I'd like to just add that this person's not the only one that's concerned about this as well in that neighborhood.
I wish we could give you more information, because we'll have this presentation again from our engineer. But they did go to some lengths, like none of the lighting in the park is up lighting. It's all from ballards facing down.
Right.
I mean, so really, I think even improves from the kind of lanterns that are in if half of them are working or not, but the lanterns that are in the park that light everything. This will be really along the trail and just down lighting. So there was some considerations taken. And again, as we get to the bidding process, when we get to that alternate, we will include you, and I'll make sure that maybe Shane could represent us on that, if that's okay, and see where we go with
Do
it,
you
what
have-
material, all of that.
Excuse me, do you happen to know what material they're talking about?
I do.
What was it, yeah?
The proposed alternate is a 6-foot wide concrete path.
6 feet wide,
Concrete path, yes.
concrete, in a park, to just be stark white, with goose poop all over it. Okay. Aesthetically, doesn't sound that great.
It's
I'll be
it's an alternate at this point, so we'll see, let's see where the bids come in and all that. We'll have a lot more discussion when it comes to the bidding.
Not even sure they're 6 feet there before they're in somebody's backyard, but, okay. But
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the work on the trees, though. Thank you. I'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Please, hello.
So I'm Diane Venuto from 1013 Michigan.
I'm sorry.
Shane, I had sent you an email. And so just to support what Ronnie said, certainly the residents on Michigan Avenue are very concerned, not only about removing trees, but also about what having a pathway in our backyard and having all that traffic is going to mean to our quality of life. And I just want to emphasize that we're very much opposed to having the pathway go behind our house. And we're hoping that maybe the pathway can stop at where the monuments would be. And then maybe that's where the parking is, looking at the schematic and having the parking and then the path lead into the park,
Right.
but to remain grass
Okay.
behind Michigan Avenue. There are all kinds of concerns. I mean,
Understood.
mainly privacy, because it's going to be right up against our homes. But, also aside from just walkers and families who go there now, and it's fine, and dog walkers. I mean, once you have a path, you're going to have skateboarders, you're going to have electric scooters, you might have bikes. It's going to get crazy. And it would severely change the quality of life there. So
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to
Understood.
throw that in too.
You may be saving us money on the cost of the sidewalks. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Motion to adjourn?
I can do that.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Time is 7:42.
Oh, we still need one more business person for that parking committee. And what we tried to do was just.
Take care, Chris.